So I think we all know that over the 25 years now, PacBio's history, we've launched a number of amazing DNA sequencers, starting with the RS1 in 2011, then going through the RS2, Sequel 2 and 2E, and then now 2 years ago, we announced the Revio system. So these have all been systems that were built at the upper end of the capacity that we had the technology to deliver. They all were driving new science, but they were all relatively expensive floor standing systems. And the whole time, there were other systems that were discussed in R&D that were considered for commercialization, but which never quite made it out the door, largely due to us not quite having the technology ready yet. But since the time when the RS1 was being developed, the team started having discussions about what if we could put this on a benchtop. Then there was an official program kind of focused on delivering a benchtop that was kind of intended to be a slimmed down version of the RS, which at the time would have meant 50,000 reads and about half a gigabyte or half a gigabase of yield. And this is the CLR yield, so half a gigabase of 90% accuracy reads. Then we actually succeeded in bringing to market the RS1 and RS2, and those became the focus of the company. There was a bunch of work to shrink the sensors that led to the Sequel system. And then after Sequel, as the company was looking at what to do next, they evaluated a project called Benchy, which some of you may have heard as our aspirational benchtop sequencer. And this was a system that was intended to build off of some of the same technologies used eventually to commercialize the Sequel 2, and be, as its name suggests, a benchtop version of a HiFi sequencer. But the focus of development ended up being on the Sequel 2 and then eventually the Revio, and Benchy never made it to market. But a bunch of the technologies that went into it were what allowed us to put 4 stages on the Revio, to shrink the compute down so we could get the ability to do all the processing on the kind of same footprint of a Sequel 2, but delivering 15 times the yield. But now, I think as you all likely saw yesterday, we have continued development of the technologies that went into Revio, and very happy today to reveal PacBio's first on-market benchtop sequencer, which we call Vega.
Meet the new Vega system from PacBio. Trusted HiFi long-read data is now more accessible and affordable than ever. From genomes to transcriptomes to epigenomes, Vega gives you the control, read length, and accuracy you need to explore with confidence. With its fast and intuitive setup, just touch and go. You can focus on discovery without delay. Your process, your pace. From ideas to results, we're here with you every step of the way. Vega by PacBio. HiFi sequencing within reach.
Yeah, so this is the Vega system, and as you heard at the end there, the kind of tagline for the system is HiFi sequencing within reach, and that's really the goal of the system, to bring HiFi to many more labs, many more institutes, many more parts of the world. So I think this is the first time you see it in proportion to a system So this truly is a benchtop. It's about 2 feet by 2 feet in base and about 2.5 feet tall. So it's significantly smaller than a Revio, and it fits on a standard lab bench. In terms of what it's able to deliver, the Vega outputs 60 gigabases of HiFi. It offers 12 or 24-hour runtimes, and it packs in all the same onboard compute that we have in Revio. So you still get base calling, deep consensus, 5-methylation calling, demultiplexing, identical output formats to what you get on Revio. And along with that, it runs all the HiFi applications, whether that's isoseq, connects, whole genomes. It has the same capabilities as the Revio, just in a smaller footprint and smaller capacity. And I think describing it as a smaller version of Revio is really underselling all the innovation that went into the system. So it's not just taking a quarter of Revio and putting it in a smaller shell. There's a huge amount of innovation that was needed to be able to deliver this system. I mentioned the compute as one of the key things that allows to deliver the Revio, and there's further development on the compute to let that all fit in this benchtop footprint, and that correspondingly reduces the power needs of the system. And now this system works on standard lab electrical and network connections. That's the only things you need to plug into it. It also offers direct to cloud upload. It has this kind of beautiful circular screen, which is how people interact with the system. It's a very simple user interface. We demonstrated it a few hundred times last night at our launch party. And I think universal praise for the simplicity of loading the system. We've also made huge progress in simplifying the consumables. This system has only two consumables. There's an integrated smart cell and pipette tip consumable, and then a sequencing plate where the sample also goes. But as I mentioned at the outset, this is fundamentally powered by Revio technology. So the data that you get off is equivalent to Revio. The formats are the same. The libraries that go in are the same. So this is showing those two consumables. On the top there is that pipette tip and smart cell integrated consumable, and on the bottom is the single reaction sample plate. We've done a lot of work to minimize the plastics and the size of these consumables, but they still bring all the capabilities you're familiar with from Revio. They have NFC tags that store the expiration dates, and the status of those systems are automatically detected by the system. You can see in the middle there a picture of the drawer and the work deck, which is really simplified on Vega. There's just two slots where these consumables fit in. There's no other complexity on the deck, so it's really easy to use the system. And then the software is also quite easy. So within a matter of a minute, you can have the consumables on the work deck. You can go through run selection. You can get a run going. In terms of specs, the Vega system I mentioned delivers 60 gigabases of HiFi yield. As with Revio, it supports a range of insert sizes, and you can see here the capabilities of the system across those insert sizes. I think one good way to think about it is that for shorter inserts under 10 kb, the output of the Vega system will be the equivalent to the Revio system, while for larger inserts, the output will be up to 60 gigabases. And the system is really designed around delivering the right amount of output for the applications that we wanted to target on this system. Those applications are all listed below in terms of the number of plexi you can do and the number of samples you can do per year. So that's the basic capabilities of the system. I think the other key piece to getting HiFi sequencing within reach is what these systems cost. And the list price for the Vega system is $169,000 for the system, with the cost of the consumables for each run being $1,100. So of course this is significantly less than the Revio. So it's a much less expensive system to get started with, and still has very affordable runs. If you look at how this compares to alternative systems, particularly the short-read benchtop systems, you can see here kind of layout of the cost of the systems on the horizontal and the cost of generating data on the systems on the vertical axis. So kind of down and to the left is less expensive. You can see the Vega system is very competitive in this comparison to the MiSeq, NextSeq 1K and NextSeq 2K. So it's a less expensive system than the NextSeq 1K. It also offers less expensive dollar per gigabase. It is a notably less expensive system than the NextSeq 2K, with a relatively minor increase in the cost per gigabase, but critically much less expensive runs. So you see here you can achieve less expensive gigabases on the NextSeq 2K with a P4 flow cell, but that requires a $5,000 run, while on Vega, the cost of the consumables per run is only $1,100. Vega also compares really favorably to the MiSeq i100 Plus, which is Illumina's new low-end system. It's a little bit more expensive for the system itself, but it generates a huge amount more data and significantly less expensive per gigabase. So nearly 2.5 times less expensive per gigabase than a MiSeq. And we actually see this MiSeq i100 launch as a great opportunity for Vega. There's now 10 to 15,000 Illumina low-end users who know that there's a system out there intended to replace the one that they have. That will get them looking at alternative systems. And if we can get a few percent of those to move over to Vega rather than moving to the IA100 Plus, that would be an enormous increase in the breadth of deployment of our systems. So I think I described the run cost as $1,100. That breaks down, as you see here. So there's the smart cell tray on the right. It's $820. The sequencing plate is $200. And then the polymerase kit comes in 8 reaction versions. It's $80 per run for the polymerase kit. And I'm sure you can tell by the names of these systems, or the names of these reagents, but they fill the same purpose as the equivalent reagents on the Revio, and they're used similarly in the workflow. So if you look at the portfolio now of long read sequencers that we have available, we have the Vega focusing on accessibility with the tagline of HiFi sequencing within reach. This is a benchtop system doing 1 smart cell per run, generating up to 60 gigabases per run with that low $169,000 price and $1,100 cost per run. It uses a similar chemistry to the Revio V1 chemistry and uses the has 2 micrograms DNA input, and it offers 12 and 24-hour run times. Then on the right is the Revio system with the focus on HiFi sequencing at scale. And this system now has been further improved with the release last week of the Spark chemistry. And Revio, of course, offers up to 4 smart cells per run, 120 gigabases per cell, so 480 gigabases a day, 8 times the output capacity of Vega. It's a $599,000 system with $995 per smart cell, the half a microgram DNA input, and then offering 12, 24, and 30-hour runs. So I think now we have great solutions for those who want to generate genomes and full-length transcriptomes at scale. That's the Revio system. And for folks who are getting started with HiFi or have lower sample needs, or focus on applications that are a great fit for Vega, like and we'll hear Liz talk about a little bit later, but targeted sequencing applications, smaller genomes, they have Vega as an option. All right, so we talked about the kind of standard pricing for the system, which is already really attractive. We also have some launch promotions, which will be valid for the first half of next year. All these promotions will require the full price system purchase, and they're all back pocket. So they're available for you to use in the CBQ system, but they're not marketed to customers, and that they're not available for customers to use through e-commerce. We broke the promos down into kind of 2 different buckets. First is focusing on the new to PacBio system owners. And for here we have what we call the Vega app bundle, which is intended to drive application adoption. This comes with a Vega 8-pack, so enough reagents to do enough sequencing reagents to do 8 runs on Vega. And then the customer's choice of 1 application kit, whether that's the Kinnex full-length RNA kit, the Pure Target kit, the HiFi prep kit or HiFi Plex prep kit. The value of this is between $12,500 and $17,500, depending on which kit the customer chooses. The second promotion that we have available for new to PacBio system owners is what we call the Vega Starter Bundle. And this is 50% off the Microlab Prep Robot. And this is intended to help people get started. They can use it as an instrument for shearing. And we're working towards bringing other library preps to be automated on this system. The second category of promotions we have are for our existing PacBio system owners. And this is intended to recognize their loyalty and also accelerate them getting started on the Vega system. And here, anyone who owns a PacBio system today, whether that's a Sequel, Sequel 2, Revio, they're eligible for this loyalty promo, which is 2 Vega reagent 8-packs. So enough sequencing reagents to do 16 runs on the Vega, or a total value of $17,600. So those are our key promotions that will be available for the first half of next year. In addition to that and the great list price, we really want to give people a bunch of different options to be able to get this system into their lab and make sure that we offer solutions that work for everyone. And for that, we have a second purchase option, which doesn't have a limited time frame to it. This is intended to be for the lifetime of the system. It's what we call Vega Access. And with the Vega Access option, customers pay $79,000 upfront for the system. Then they have the system in their lab, and they commit to purchasing 152 smart cells over a 2-year period at the price of $1,750. After those 152 smart cells have been purchased, then they would return to the $1,100 system or price for the reagents. But this is a way for people to get a Vega system into their lab with a really minimal capital commitment. And this is really designed to make the Vega system even more competitive against not just the Illumina systems, but also the lower cost or lower capital nanopore systems. So here you see the P2i, the PromethION that accepts 2 flow cells, which has an upfront cost of around $90,000. So the standard price for the Vega is very competitive with this, but Vega Access puts the system now at being less capital commitment upfront than a P2i. I think it's also useful, and we'll get into this in a little bit, but to not only think of Vega as being the right system for people who might be running P2is today, but also for those who run P24s, the PromethION that can accept 24 flow cells. Because often these systems aren't run at full capacity, they don't generate as much data per run as the Vega system will, and they certainly don't have the reliability or data quality that we offer. And with this pricing, both the Vega and Vega Access are notably less expensive to get started than the P24. All right, so I'm actually glad I still have voice today, because last night we announced this at the PacBio customer appreciation event at ASHG, where we had, now I can actually say we had the band One Republic perform. And around 8 o'clock Pacific time last night, Christian got on stage and did a great job revealing the system to those in the room. And then through our social and web, we revealed it to the world. Also, the commercial operations team got on, and they have that system now ready to be booked. So as of now, you can actually take orders for the system, or take orders for the Vega system in Salesforce. We'll get into that a little bit later. E-commerce is also online, so customers can pre-book consumables for the Vega. The web content and seismic content are also online now. As for when this system will get into customers' hands, we plan on a limited release in December, and then a full commercial release, kind of broad shipment in the first quarter of next year. All right, so with that as kind of extended preamble, we went through a bunch here on the Vega specifications and features, the 2 pricing options, $169,000 standard Vega price, and then the $79,000 Vega Access option. We went through the consumables cost and then the promotions. And now we're going to get into how people use the Vega system and which customers this is a great fit for. And first, I'll go through the different target customers and how we can identify target customers at new and existing accounts, differentiating our system from the other benchtop systems that they might consider. And as before with the promotions, where we kind of broke them down into new to PacBio and existing accounts, that's how we thought about the different customer types here. So I'll go through 4 different broad types of customers that we should target for Vegas. The 2 that are new to PacBio would be current short read system owners or current nanopore P2 and P24 owners. And then Vega will also could have a lot of uses at our current customers, whether those are HiFi send-out customers who use our data today but not our systems, and then those who do on our systems and might find Vega either replacing a system they have or complementing those systems. All right, so first the short read system owners. And if we think about why these folks would buy a Vega system, it's first and foremost for the standout capabilities of HiFi data, the ability to get the full complement of variants, to get methylation, to get full length isoforms, to do repeat expansion characterizations. So all these applications that they can get, and it's about joining the future, the longer future where people see things are going, with a vendor that they can trust and with a system that will reliably deliver data. Of course, it will take some convincing to get these people to move over, but I mentioned there's 10,000 or so MySeq owners who may be considering the MySeq i100, and getting 1-2% of those would mean a few hundred Vegas in the field. So one person who we see as kind of representative of this target market who we could go after is Catherine Aquino, who's a group leader of the Functional Genomics Center in Zurich. And she gave some comments to investors after the launch of the MySeq i100 that I think really talked to how we want people to think about the system and what potential we have to go after them. So she pointed out that she was going to be purchasing a MiSeq i100, and it would replace her current MiSeq, some iSeqs, and some mini-seqs with some of the multiple low-end Illumina systems she had in her lab. She talked about how it's very affordable, so it was relatively easy to justify the purchase. But pointed out that it doesn't really open any new applications for her. It's just an operational and cost change, doing what the MiSeq already does. And she noted at the end that she's actually more interested in expanding beyond Illumina instruments. And that could include both alternative short read vendors, whether it's the Element system, Onso system, but it could also mean long read systems, bringing something like Vega into the lab. So this is a type of customer who's kind of now looking outward or looking to alternatives, who we could have conversations with. The second big class of existing sequencing customers or system owners who don't own our systems are those who own nanopores. I think there's two really nice examples of that. First being Gareth Hynum, who's the chief strategy officer at Descendants DNA, which is a kind of boutique genomics company that allows people to pay for genome sequencing. And they aim to deliver the highest quality genome to people who are willing to pay for it. And they decided when they launched their product about 18 months ago to move forward with the Prometheon 24 system. And Gareth reported about 2 weeks ago on some discussion boards that he was returning his P24 system because it could not consistently hit the yield targets that they need. It wasn't predictable enough for them to build a business around. He pointed out that they tried for a year and a half to make it financially feasible. They worked with a variety of different nanopore salespeople and support folks, but ultimately decided that they had to return to short reads to be able to have a predictable output and to be able to deliver genomes to their customers in the immediate time frame. But he ended by saying that he's a long read enthusiast. He understands the value of long reads, and he planned to return. So I think if you read into this, if he doesn't want to work with a nanopore system and he wants to return to long reads, that's PacBio. And now we have the system that would let him get started, that could have similar capabilities to to what they were doing on the P24 at a very affordable startup price. So that's the kind of P24, frustrated P24 owners. Another class of customers are those who know about HiFi and might own the kind of lower cost P2 systems, and have been constrained in jumping into PacBio due to the upfront cost of the systems. And one great example of this is Graham Wiley, who's the director of clinical genomics at the Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation in the US. And he points out that he has a P2 Solo in his core, and he has strong demand for it, enough to make him think about getting another system. But this is actually a week or so before our announcement. People were speculating on PacBio releasing a benchtop system. And he speculated that while this system could be 10 to 20 times more expensive in CapEx, the data is also twice as good and would provide higher, more consistent output. And he proposed some tiers. So he said CapEx is his main constraint in getting started with PacBio. And he didn't know what the system would be priced at or what its capabilities would be. But he said if it's $300,000 or more, it would go on his wish list of things he'd like to get. If it was $200,000 or more, $200,000 or more, he'd be scheming how to get one in the next 12 to 18 months. And if it was $100,000, that he would be emailing for a quote and forming a party to storm his CFO's office. So obviously, I think we come in this range pretty close to storming the CFO's office. So these are other folks, people who know about long reads, are bought in, but now or have viewed CapEx as the main constraint to jumping over to PacBio. Now we have the solution for them. And yeah, if we go back to kind of the left side about why these people would buy, it's this HiFi read accuracy. They know our data is better than Nanopore. They can be frustrated with inconsistent performance and support of the system. That's actually something I probably should have pointed out in the specs of Vega, but we really expect this to be an extremely consistent system. It should be our most consistent and robust system to date. Okay, moving now to folks who are our current customers in one form or another. First are the HiFi send-out customers. And Hagen Tilgner, who's an associate professor at Cornell, is a great example of this customer type.
Can I turn the volume up on yours?
Yeah,
I turned it up. I don't know what happened here.
Yeah, so Hagen has been PacBio has been a user of PacBio data for quite a long time, and he currently is a customer through the core at Cornell. But we had the chance to talk to him about a week before our announcement. And he was very excited about Vega. He commented that the Revio core that he works with is slower than he would like. He'd love to have immediate turnaround times, and more importantly for his use case, he doesn't have control over what they do. So they only want to run the official protocols that we publish and support. While Hagen is focused on technology development and pushing science forward, so he wants to do experimental protocols. So he's actually operated by his lab purchased a nanopore system, and they do a lot of their more speculative work on that nanopore, and then they'll do some data production on the Revio. The Vega provides the kind of perfect opportunity for him to be able to get now a system into his lab and then have full control over the workflows and the turnaround time. He can also save on markup because he'll pay buying the consumables directly from us rather than whatever markup his core would charge. So these types of folks who are our current customers would love to have that faster turnaround time and more control, and would love the savings. Are the great customers to talk to Vega about. Then the kind of last category of customers who we think are great for Vega are current HiFi systems owners, and we further broken this down into 3 different categories. The first is those who are current Sequel II owners who haven't upgraded to Revio. And Vega offers an opportunity them to modernize their Sequel II system, get the better economics of the and capabilities of our current technologies. And one example of that was another individual who we were able to speak to before announcement and expressed a lot of excitement for Vega. And that's Dan Lynn Arlo, who's the Chief Scientific Officer at ANSA Biotechnologies. And this organization runs 2 Sequel IIs. Dan mentioned that they've been wanting to upgrade their Sequel IIs since the launch of Revio, really. But their main consideration has been preserving their cash, and that it would take a long time for them to earn back the CapEx costs of Revio in terms of run savings. So Vega really offers a great opportunity for them to get in at a lower point. They'd start seeing those advantages much more quickly, and it'd also be less cash for them upfront. So all of our current Sequel II customers who haven't upgraded to Revio are obviously great candidates for Vega. But we also think Vega fits a lot of ways at customers who do own Revios. And one great example of that is Britt Johnson, who's the head of medical affairs at GeneDx. GeneDx has been part of the HiFi Solves efforts for us, have been running Revios to do genomes of rare disease cases for the last few years. And Britt also came to visit and see the Spark chemistry and the Vega system prior to announcement. And she gave some really insightful comments pointing out that, well, for them, Revio or even a bigger system is what they want for production genome, something that runs at scale at the lowest possible cost per genome. But that her organization isn't just about data production. They also have a bunch of groups focused on application development, and that those groups would like to have a benchtop instrument that they could control. That would let them get results faster. They wouldn't have to coordinate between the development groups and the production operations. And since the Vega system libraries and data output are perfectly compatible with Revio, they could use it not only for development, but they could also consider using that for top-offs. So the Revio systems could continue churning through samples in a very reliable way, and anything that needed top-off could be directed to a Vega to finish off the target coverage. And she pointed out, just to end it by saying that they will have many uses for these smaller instruments. I guess I'll say she pointed out instruments, right? So they could consider having multiple ones in different development groups, maybe some in their operational group as well. So in this way, the Revio or the Vega system is really complementing Revio, either for these development use cases or those top-off use cases. And then the last category of existing HiFi system owners who we think Vega will be excellent for is kind of represented by Yiping Mao, who's the vice director of Berry Genomics Research and Development. And Berry was, of course, our partner in conceptualizing and developing this benchtop system, partially for their use cases. And what they will use the Vega system for is about distributing sequencing across sites. So they want to not bring all the samples into a centralized facility and running them on a larger system like the Revio. They want to be distributing this assay, which for them would be a thalassemia targeted assay, around the country, and having the systems distributed as well. So yeah, iPing, who's quoted in our Vega press release, pointed out that the ability on the system to quickly complete small sequencing runs makes it an ideal choice for clinical LDT applications in China, an ideal choice for this distributed sequencing application. All right, so with that, I will hand it over to Liz Seng, who will walk us through not only the customer types that would be interested in Vega, but the specific applications that we think the system is a great fit for. So with that, Liz, the floor is yours.
Next slide, please. Next slide. Yes, this one. So good morning, everyone. Let's walk through some of the applications that Vega supports. Vega supports, in fact, all the same sample prep and library prep that Revio does. This includes nanobind for DNA extraction, HiFi prep and HiFi plex kits for whole genome sequencing, pure target for repeat expansion, Kinnex for RNA, and while not mentioned here, also AAV. The same Kinnex library can be sequenced on both Vega and Revio. What is different are the sequencing consumables that are specific to each platform. Once the data is generated, it uses the same SmartLink and tertiary analysis workflows. Next slide. There are some differences in throughput and economics that make certain applications more attractive on Vega than others. While this is not an exhaustive list, we're going to call out 3 specific applications here. And these are likely going to be driving the conversations that you're going to have in the coming days with Vega prospects. Next slide. The first is Kinnex full-length RNA for bulk RNA sequencing. On Vega, we recommend 6 RNA samples per Vega SMRT Cell to achieve a default depth of 5 million reads per sample. Customers will be able to get the same transcript lengths and abundances they need to do isoform discovery, quantification, and differential analysis. Next slide. The second is pure target for repeat expansion. On Vega, we recommend multiplexing 48 samples to achieve a 200-fold coverage per target per sample. Next. For whole genome sequencing, one Vega SMRT Cell generates one 20x HiFi genome, which we've shown in last week's training has superior variant calling against Illumina and ONT at higher coverages. Next slide. We can think Vega applications in 2 categories. The first ones are the ones where library prep cost dominates, that you have already maxed out the multiplexing capacity on Vega. This includes pure target, which uses the maximum 48 plex on both Vega and Revio. In this case, the per sample cost is $242 on Vega and $240 on Revio. For microbial whole genome sequencing, it's already maxed out at 384 plex, which is the same price on both Vega and Revio. Next slide. Then, if we look at Kinnex full-length RNA, with 6 plex on Vega, you'll get 5 million reads per sample. If we compare this to 6 plex on Revio, it gives you 10 million reads because of the higher yield of Revio, but the price is comparable. So what happens if a customer says they want 10 million reads? If a customer says they want 10 million reads, then remember, we can run multiple SMRT Cells. The same Kinnex 6-plex library can be run over 2 Vega SMRT Cells, which now if you add up the extra sequencing cost is $566 per sample. For next slide, please. For genome sequencing, one 20x human genome would cost a little over $1,000 on Vega compared to about half the price on Revio. These are still great deals for these applications. For people who want flexibility of running these data in-house. Slide. This is the updated one SMRT Cell menu showing how the different applications look for sample multiplexing on Vega. Before you talk to customers, take some time to look at what the standard recommendations are for each of them. Here are just some of the key numbers to keep in mind. 120x genome for human WGS, 48-plex for pure target, 6-plex for Kinnex. And for some of the other targeted and metagenomics applications, they have slightly lower plexity than Revio, but they still support a lot of samples going through the system. We want you to get excited with customers about being able to run their favorite applications. And finally, we've released demo data sets for these applications, and they can be found at pacb.com/Vega. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Nicole on how you can help customers craft their vision of owning a Vega to address their pain points.
I hope you're all excited about what you've heard so far from Aaron and from Liz. I know that the excitement here at ASHG is very high, so I hope you all can carry that into your conversations with customers moving forward. Here, I just want to focus on a particular customer type of ours, which is one of our main customer types that I think will really benefit from the Vega. We're going to go through kind of what their needs are, how they can benefit from Vega, and then I'm going to go through a couple of customer pain chains so you can really understand how to approach these conversations to really target the compelling reasons they might want to buy a Vega. So these customers in the human genomics segment, so oftentimes, and this covers, just so you're aware, this covers all the common complex diseases, so like neuro, immuno, cardio, those kinds of things, and then also rare disease. These are often complex diseases. They may not always have the funding for a large Revio system, so that can be a factor in their purchasing decisions, but they still need to uncover complex genetics in their research, maybe even more so than some of the other areas. So they want to be able to do that. Also in the clinical setting, they want to have confidence in their results. So they want to be using very high quality data to be able to do their reports or any other kind of information that they might send out. They also need an affordable system. So right now they might be, going to a core lab. They might be, not even having access to a Revio or running short reads. So having an affordable system so they can bring the control of their experiments and the cost into their own hands is really a top need. So Vega offers them, the same HiFi long-read sequencing as the Revio, but in a compact, affordable benchtop system. So this means it's something that they could potentially own and have in their own lab. They can also run Kinnex full-length RNA sequencing to reveal isoforms. I talked to several customers yesterday here at ASHG that were looking at neurodiseases, Parkinson's, autism, Alzheimer's, et cetera, who were really finding a lot of really interesting information from using our Kinnex kit and looking at isoforms, finding many novel isoforms and interesting isoforms. So this is something that Vega can bring to them, again, in a compact system that's affordable. Also, they want to be able to look at high quality genomes and be able to detect all the variants, and methylation is also really important in a lot of these diseases. So that comes to them with a Vega system. For pure target, they may want to be looking at repeat expansion panels, especially in, like a testing environment, like a GeneDx. Pure target is, gives them a very solid focus panel, and they can run that on Vega for an affordable cost, as you saw in one of the slides that Liz presented. So how they benefit. So again, researchers will be able to bring the control of their own experiments into their own lab, their own hands, be able to, bring the costs under control. But alongside that, they'll also be able to discover complex features that'll help advance their research. For clinical labs, this means they could run smaller batches. So as mentioned in the GeneDx example, they may be using their Revios for their large production systems, and R&D may want to run smaller batches. So the Vega really plays into that. Additionally, if it's a testing lab, they could potentially, use that for translate to faster turnaround times, and also to consolidate legacy assays that they want to move over to molecular techniques. Okay, so next we're going to look through two pain chains. The first one is focused on research. So here I've used an example of an academic medical research center in neuro. So we're going to start from the bottom and go all the way to the top. So postdocs, they're really looking to make novel discoveries. They're trying to make a name for themselves, and they want to start getting involved in publications. So some of their pains here is that they may not be able to get interesting or sufficient information from short read because they're just not seeing the whole picture. And that will not allow them to make significant discoveries that lead to impactful publications. Also, they don't have control over their experiments, that they have to send them out to a core. That's going to add to their costs, and whatever grant funding or budget they have will be eaten up by outsourcing. If we move up a level, when we look at the PIs, they're really looking to get impactful publications accepted. And again, if their postdocs are not making significant discoveries and novel discoveries, then the likelihood of that goes down. All the way to the top, the lab director, they're really looking to maintain the prestige of their lab, because that translates into, funding and grants and things that really make them a top-class institution that will be able to get all the resources they need. So being able to solve for this pain is really important. So here's an example of a customer conversation starter. So if you go in to talk to a customer in this scenario, so imagine if I told you Vega can help you to unravel genetic mysteries and complexities, and that you and your PIs and postdocs will have more impactful discoveries. Having these lab tools which supercharge your research, such as the Vega, gives you access to HiFi long-read data, and that'll help you increase your publication acceptance rate. You'll have more impactful research findings. You'll also be able to uncover complex genetic structures, novel isoforms, things that really make an impact in your research, and you can get all of this at a price that is within your reach. Next, so this is an example. This is GeneDx. So we had another example of I think it was the chief medical officer in the other slide, but this example actually used Catherine Stulin, who's the CEO. And I put a link in here because she had an interview on CBNC last week or the week before. It was within the last couple of weeks. And she really went into great detail about how genomics testing is really going to impact her lab. So it's worth a listen before you go in and talk to clinical customers, because it'll give you some ideas on, what they're thinking, what the CEO is thinking. So if we start at the lab tech level, so this is really where a lot of the pain is felt. So they're getting pressure for turnaround time. They may have to wait until they get, 25, 30 patients to batch a run. They just, they're kind of constrained by that, being able to run small sample sizes or run things stat or, quickly. And so then that kind of moves up to the lab director. So lab director's lab is not performing as well because they're not able to have the turnaround time. It's also a high cost per sample. So at the end of the day, there might be a payer of some sort, a patient or an insurance company. And if they're high cost, then that just kind of restricts care and business back to the lab. And then if you look at the CFO and the CEO, they're really concerned about, the bottom line of the company and their business after all. And so if they're not getting the business coming in, the sample volume, because they don't have a good turnaround time, because their costs are too high, that results in a decreased cash flow. And then at the end of the day, that's poor company performance. And we all know the ramifications of that. So that's just a look at a testing lab. So here's a good customer starter if you're going in to talk to one of those types of customers. So imagine if I told you Vega can help you meet your customer demands for lower costs and faster turnaround times. It'll allow you and your lab techs to improve efficiency in running samples. You'll have access to the best-in-class long-read sequencing platform at an affordable price point, and also the flexibility to run smaller batch sizes. You don't have to wait for samples to accumulate. All of this will allow you to reduce turnaround times and lower operating costs without sacrificing high-quality results. So that's an overview of the human genetics customers and how to talk to them, and I'm going to pass it back to Aaron.
Great. Yeah, so to complement what Nicole just went through around how to think about the pain chains of customers, we wanted to also talk about some specific objections you may hear from customers or when you talk to them about Vega. And for that, we'll have Eva Sang join as our kind of a difficult customer or skeptical customer. So Eva, you want to get us started?
Hey, Aaron, I know you're here to talk to me about HiFi, but Nanopore is so cheap and the data is good enough.
Great. Yeah. So is Nanopore really more affordable when you think about the price per answer instead of the dollars per gigabase? The systematic error means you need several-fold more coverage, and the indel errors never go away no matter how much coverage you do. Are you sure you want to settle for Nanopore low data quality when the Vega system is so affordable? And if upfront cost is your main concern, have you looked at the Vega Access option? It's a really low upfront cost way to get started. The second customer is someone whose objection may be that short-read sequencing is good enough.
I already have MiSeq, and I'm looking at the new one that they just launched. Short read has always worked for us, so why would I want to?
Yes, just say, have you looked at how much more affordable HiFi data is than MiSeq short read data, even off the new MiSeq i100 system? It's actually much less expensive and contains much richer information. In fact, a lot of your peers have already ordered a Vega system. Are you sure you could still afford the old status quo? Okay, so in addition to people considering nanopore or Illumina systems, the other objection we know people might have is about hidden costs in HiFi sequencing. So let's hear your issue here, Eva.
I've heard a lot about extra third-party instruments I have to get, QCs. I may have to buy a femtopulse or maybe need an expensive server, liquid handlers. What are all the hidden costs to do HiFi?
Yeah, so actually with Vega, there's no need to buy a femtopulse unless you really want to. If you're interested in automating library prep, we recommend the very affordable benchtop Hamilton Microlab prep robot. And we even have a half-off promotion for it for new customers. On the compute solution side, we have a number of low-cost options to recommend. And in fact, the new SmartLink Cloud doesn't even require any hardware in your lab. And I guess that leads into another key product that we announced this week, which is the cloud version of SmartLink. So we have now for many years, of course, offered full on-premises SmartLink where people are able to administer their instruments and run secondary analysis. About a year ago, we started offering a light version of SmartLink where people could just do the kind of instrument administration sides of SmartLink, but on a smaller cost desktop style computer. But now we're offering the same capabilities in the cloud. So there's literally no cost to customers to get going. They just go and set up an account, and then they're able to run, connect their systems and run their systems with no other costs. All right, and then our final objection is from customers who say, "Hey, I already can get HiFi data from sequencing cores."
I happen to love my local sequencing core, so I know you're here to talk to me about a benchtop system. Why do I want my own when I can just send out my samples?
Well, owning your own system means you can get next day results, lower sequencing costs, and then the peace of mind that your data stays private. You're in full control from start to finish of the data and the experiment. If you want to develop your own protocols or methods, you can go for it. So with all these perks, why would you hand over your samples to someone else when you can own the whole process and do it in your own lab? Great. We also have a huge number of resources available to you. So the website is now live. You can go to pacb.com and see our materials. There's a Vega page. There's the 3 data sets that Liz talked about, the RNA, whole genome, and targeted sequencing data sets. They all have dedicated pages that describe the value props and offer the raw data. We have these promotions that I talked about available at CPQ. There's a brochure, a spec sheet, the One Smart Cell app brief, again, that Liz showed. We have the grant support document. We have a nice setup video, the one that I showed at the outset. All these resources are available on the web and in Seismic, and they're all there now. We also have an FAQ where that answers some of the questions that have come in. Please keep submitting questions to us, and we'll add those to the FAQ. And we have a site prep document. So for people who are considering or people who are buying a Vega and want to know what their lab has to look like, the site prep document is available on Seismic now. It's also available on the pacb.com/documentation page, so you can share it publicly with customers. So that I guess we kind of went through all the different aspects of the system, what Vega is, how it's priced, what applications are a great fit for it. A reminder, it can do any HiFi application, which customers it's for. And we had this kind of tagline, HiFi sequencing within reach. I wanted to kind of end with showing you guys a little bit about how we got to that point.
Okay, folks, we're here to brainstorm, add ideas for PacBio's first benchtop HiFi sequencer. Who wants to go first?
What if we just showed the product and said, now high accuracy long read data is accessible and affordable for everyone?
Good, but I think we can go bigger.
Picture this. It's a bunch of friends around a bonfire having fun toasting marshmallows. Even the CEO is there singing a song about genomics.
Yeah!
And Vega is alongside them all the while like a trusted friend.
Nice. That captures the idea of Vega's small form factor and how it fits on a benchtop.
Yeah, strong. How about we keep the positive vibes of your spot, but we get a little more abstract? I see a woman wandering through a location, searching for something. Everything's in black and white, so it's a little mysterious. Then we reveal it was Vega she was longing for the entire time. She even starts a quick run before whispering,
Vega by PacBio.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I love how it juxtaposes the beauty of Vega with 99.9% HiFi read accuracy and DNA methylation calling in every run.
That doesn't make sense.
What if we went a little more high energy, though? We open on athletes training, pushing their bodies to the limit. And just when you think they're about to reach for their sports drink, they start to discuss the ease of use of Vega. You know, how it empowers researchers to manage project times more effectively by sequencing in-house.
Great. Fantastic concepts here. I think we're almost there, but how can we really nail home the message that with PacBio Vega, now you can have proven and trusted HiFi long-read sequencing accuracy that meets your budget?
What about a jingle? PacBio Vega.
yes, harmony.
PacBio Vega.
C sharp, C sharp.
Can you take the lower?
That's so good. Oh, my corpus. Absolutely. Stamp that and send it. Yeah, that's so